It's day 7 of the Games. This is the Ariake Gymnastics Centre, home of Boccia for the Tokyo 2020 Paralympic Games. It's day 4 of the tournament and the knockout stage begins with the individual quarterfinals.
Fantastic arena, and here's our show court, court 4.
And this is the scheduled session. We kick off with the individual BC2 quarterfinals, going into BC3 and then BC4.
Yeah, knockout stages of the tournament, all important, and a big lineup for that first match. Sugimura actually being moved on to the show court in his home Olympic Games.
So here's the progression system through the BC2 individual event. The knockout stages, we're establishing the 4 athletes to progress to the semi-finals during this quarterfinal session this morning. So these are the 4 matches that will kick off at the Ariake Arena very shortly. Just one of these will be appearing on broadcast, the Sugimura-Mezek match here on court 4.
Well, here's how they came through their groups. You'll notice that Sugimura is a 3-0 in his pools. He played fantastically well. Robert Mccowan actually benefited from a disqualification to make it through to the quarterfinal stages. There is Mccowan, the 43-year-old world number 12 from Slovakia, will begin his warm-up now. He came through Pool A with 2 victories and 1 defeat, including a 10-2 victory over the Belgian Rombuts.
This is the referee, Eleni Lilolu.
The athletes get 6 balls and a jack to warm up. The concept of balls and petanque and snooker, along with a bit of curling, is what makes this unique sport of boccia. No Olympic equivalent. There you can see that Rombuts smashing 10-2. Beating Hipwell as well, the Slovakian. 6 balls thrown by each athlete in 4 ends of match play. And the idea is to get your closest ball closer than your opponent's at the end of the 6 balls in the end. And that Diana Tisplina 12-0 victory from Sugimura in the pool was his biggest performance so far.
It's a lovely shot there with a little look in at the Paralympic mascot, bringing luck to the players here on this quarterfinal day. So this BC2 individual event, the players throw with the hand and they're not eligible for assistance in this class of boccia. And here we are, the match begins. The quarterfinal stage, the knockout rounds. Sugimura for Japan has the red balls and will make the first play. Setting the jack just beyond the V-line. Four minutes on the clock for both athletes. That's the sum of the time they have to throw all 6 balls. Placing that very close to the jack.
Yeah, usually first ball they like to have just a little gap away from the jack so that if it gets hit, it gets knocked onto the jack. Well, a bit nervy there by the looks of things from Mccowan. He has disrupted and got the jack a little bit free, but took a lot of time there. So furthest from the jack always shoots the throws in Boccia.
And the second ball from Mccowan, now the closest to the jack. So Sugimura back in the box to play.
So highly tactical game here, and Sugimura has shown so far in the competition that he's a master of the decision making. Could be going for the push off here. The ball was just laid down by the Slovakian is in sight.
Right in the middle there. The support from the Japanese delegation. No spectators here at Tokyo 2020, but there's a lot of support from the team for the home favourite Sugimura.
Got a bit of power into that one. I don't think it quite worked out the way he wanted it to. I thought he was going to try and ricochet off his ball and leave the ball he'd thrown up against the jack.
Yeah, all the blue balls now out of play, so we'll see how this develops with the fourth shot from Mccowan.
I wonder whether the plan was actually to now try and jack out, try and knock the jack out of play, which will put it into the middle.
And Mccowan goes again.
Is he trying to set this up to roll up and over? So he's effectively put a guard down in front of the two red balls. He wants to hit the guard and go up and over it and land either on top of the jack or just ahead of it, possibly.
He selects the ball. The different balls in Boccia have different properties. They all have to have a diameter within a specified range as well as the weight, but they can be different levels of firmness. So a softer ball will be less effective on a power shot, but will place more easily. The harder ball's better for the longer throws. So 4 balls left for Sugimura, and the play currently very much in his favour.
Such an advantage to have the final ball if you've got 4 of them. And the way he's played through the tournament as well, tactically been very astute.
So he's opened it up a little bit with this first of these remaining 4 balls.
Well, it's definitely closest ball there. Maybe the blue to the left is closer than the second red, but 3 more balls to go. Could be on for a big point score here.
Sugimura Hidetaka, the world-ranked number 2, very popular Paralympic athlete here in Japan. Nice play.
Yeah, just using the ricochet there. Yeah, he's popular. Team silver medal at the Rio Olympic Games, Sugimura. What a joy it would be for the Japanese nation to see him get a medal on home soil at these very tricky Olympic Games.
Yeah, it's been a very difficult run-up for everyone involved in these games, the athletes, the officials, the coaching staff, and I think for the organisers, for the Japanese people, they'll really want to see Sugimura get that medal.
And like I said, the organisers, the IOC and everybody involved in making these Paralympics happen have done an incredible job. These venues have been turned around in 14 days. Gymnastics was held here during the Olympic Games, and it looked a very different place then.
Yeah, totally new atmosphere here for the Boccia. Well, not quite making it ahead of the closest blue ball by the looks of that.
5. Now, are they going to have a look at this? You could see 3 clearly in range. And unsurprisingly, Robert Meshek comes to have a look at this. Yeah, he's going to ask for the furthest red to be measured here. Not surprised about that. It does look quite close.
So the referee using the calipers here to determine the distance between the closest blue ball and the jack. Using that to compare with the red. And the red is indeed closer, these 2 furthest reds, so it's a great start for Sugimura.
5 red, and it's finished. 5 red.
The referee's hand signals communicating that low down sweep of the arms out to the side, indicating the end of the end. So a 5-0 lead for Sugimura Hidetaka of Japan over Slovakia's Robert Mezek. So the second end begins, and Slovakia's Robert Mezek with the blue balls will set the jack mid-court towards his side, getting the grip on the ball. And the left-handed throw to this side of the court means he's angled the wheelchair right around to his right side, bringing this in terms with the jack, a reasonable distance between the two balls. And how will Sugimura respond?
I just made a slight adjustment there. He's just checking he's inside the playing box. Touching a line, he'll get penalised. Like I say, much deeper into the court, so a different set of strategies will be employed in this end compared to the first. But one thing is for sure, he's left quite a lot of the jack visible, Mezek. You can see there. Sugimura's actually got a really good line to get a ball, his first ball, in between the blue ball and the jack.
Also playing left-handed, Sugimura Hidetaka. Right on up there alongside the jack.
Still very early stages in this end. It's hard to know exactly what they're both thinking, but this could give us an indication of what Mezek's plan is. I'm wondering if he's going to try and roll this one up the other side. A little bit harder for the left-hander. Looks like he's winding up for something big here. So a push on. And a push off. So the first ball used to push the first ball he'd thrown closer to the jack, the second to push away Sugimura's ball, but the jack is still open, it's still clear for Sugimura to see.
Sugimura finds that opening. Is it closer? So the referee will measure.
It was a good question.
Oh, it's tight there. Good idea to double check this one. And what's the verdict?
I think he's going to call that. He has. He's called it for
the
blue.
red ball closer.
You're right, that was a very tight call. It was possible that he could put the paddle level there, meaning that he can't determine who it is and they'll remain with the other player shooting. But perhaps things have just opened up with that measure for Mezek here.
right in there. And he's given the jack a little bit of protection now. No longer giving Sugimura that direct line of sight. Super.
Yeah.
And he's happy with that one.
Yeah, best shot of the match from him so far. And it's going to force Sugimura into something a little different.
Rolling it up and over the top. Creating a little bit of space, but not quite enough, not just yet. The blue ball is still closer to the jack.
A couple of options here, though, aren't there? You could do the same thing again and place this ball just in front of the ball he's just thrown. But the jack may also be visible to him, so he could knock the jack on and push it up to the two red balls. There are plenty of options here. You've got to have a bit of a snooker brain, I think, for this sport.
I think that's right. He's weighing up those options, making his decision. 3 balls left to play. Oh.
Still blue closer, but I think he was just trying to nudge the jack there. Just didn't quite get the line right.
And there was a gap. It's right in the gap, but just not close enough to the jack.
So now will he try and ricochet off the ball he's just thrown and onto the jack?
Oh. It's a critical moment for Sugimura here. He needs to keep that concentration, the relaxation. He smashes through. It's close to call.
Yeah, gonna have to have a look at that. I mean, it's going to be Meshek's go anyway, but it does look like the blue is closer there.
I would say the same, but I'm glad it's the referee who has to determine that for Mezek and not me.
Yeah, he's come out to have a look, which is a clear indication it is blooming close. What Sugimura has done here is he's limited the damage. With that 5-0 lead from the first end, a great start from him. It's likely that Meshek, at best, can get 2 here.
It's true, the Japanese has given himself some leeway. Oh, up and over and it bounces back. He'll go again, the final shot from Mezek in this second end. The quarterfinals here in the BC2 individual event.
Yeah, great deal of risk in that shot. He knows that he can get 1 and he's elected to leave the last ball because if he was to knock the jack on, it would give points to Sugimura.
It's a very good defensive strategy from Sugimura there. He still holds the advantage here with a 5-1 total score from these first 2 ends. Players confirming the results.
One blue and finished. One blue, one blue.
And it is 1 point to Robert Mezek of Slovakia. Japan's Sugimura Hidetaka still leads by 5-1.
one blue. And finished. 15 seconds.
End 3. Sugimura Hidetaka will set the jack. And he's angled right over to the right-hand side of the court as we look at it. Again, just across the V-line. Making those difficult angles for his rival. He's at the front of the box. You can see his feet on the footrests of the wheelchair overlap that throwing line at the front of the box, and that's fine as long as the wheelchair itself is positioned within the box. So up in front of the jack, that first red ball. Robert Mezek, with his feet on the floor, has to keep his feet inside the box along with the wheelchair.
Again, Sugimura has left quite a lot of the jack visible. Perhaps we wanted that first ball to roll on a tiny bit more. Didn't go according to plan, that one. I think he wanted to make more contact, a truer contact with the red ball.
Mezek to go again, the second ball. He smashes it away this time.
So now Mezek wants to get this one directly in the line between Sugimura and the jack. Doesn't want to be butt up against the jack. So maybe a few centimetres on the player's line side away from the jack. Not bad. Not bad.
And it was closer. Sugimura back for his second ball. The players bringing their own balls to the tournaments. They have to be checked by the federation beforehand for size and weight. Different balls with different properties, and the athletes really have a feel for how they move on the court, what type of shot they want to take, and then which ball is most appropriate for that shot. So Sugimura's made a selection.
Yeah, so the placement from Mezek there tried to push that one off. It's not quite there, but it has done the job of opening the jack back up again. And you mentioned the federation checking things. This is the first time that Boccia's been aired to the world, and they've really embraced this opportunity to showcase the sport. The Boccia community very active on social media, really thoroughly enjoying the opportunity the sport's been given to be shown to a wider audience, because it is a thoroughly entertaining game. It's a very and it's unique in the fact that it doesn't have an Olympic equivalent. They've opened it up in recent times to the BC4 category, which are for athletes with an impairment of a non-cerebral origin. So there are more people playing this sport than ever before around the globe. It's fantastic.
There's something inherently interesting about boccia. In the history of the sport, they talk about these cave paintings from Egyptian times, from 5000 BC, that this was one of the earliest types of games that humans have ever played, throwing stones back in those days, some 7,000 years ago. We've moved on a little bit since the stone throwing days, but there is something inherently fascinating about this game. And if you haven't fallen in love with it yet, it's only day 4. You've still got a chance. We're bringing you the rest of this knockout program in the individuals, and then we'll be moving on to the pairs and teams later in the Paralympic Games. Mezik's technique, he leans right over to the left side to give his arm clearance so that he can swing, and the regulations state that the athletes have to keep one buttock in the wheelchair. They can't come out of the seat. Maybe that's not what he intended from that penultimate ball.
Yeah, I mean, you can see what he's trying to do. He's trying to knock that jack on to the blues further up the court. He collected the red along the way and pushed that on, so it's still red closest. Last ball.
And 10 seconds on the clock.
He's got to hit the jack. Pretty square here. Well, he's actually gone for placement. And that, to me, is red.
Yeah.
Opportunity for another big score here for Sugamura.
Sugamura's really got a chance here. 3 balls left to play. He can come and inspect and see what opportunity he has. It didn't take him long to work that one out. So
it's
just
a bit of a fly past, wasn't it?
It really was a very quick inspection, and he's straight back in the box. So gives me the sense that he has an idea of his strategy here for these final 3 balls.
Well, he's freed up the jack now. He'll want the jack to stay where it is. But managing not only to knock the jack forward, but he actually got the ball to ride on top of it and ride along with it. So now we can have some placement shots possibly, or roll up and overs.
Yeah. That'll be 2 on the scoreboard. Can he make it a 3rd?
Well, the way he's playing, you wouldn't bet against him, I don't think, at this stage.
Here's the opportunity. And it goes long, and he's disappointed with that one. So the end's finished, and it's 2 points to Sugamura of Japan.
1 minute.
So it's 7-1 in total for Sugimura Hidetaka over Robert Mezek after 3 ends in this individual BC2 quarter-final in the Boccia here at the Ariake Gymnastics Centre. Stepping up for the 4th and final end of this match. It's a big ask of Robert Mezek. 7-1 down as he comes into this final end. And he's taking this long shot, setting the jack close to his side of the court.
Yeah, mathematically possible, but as soon as Sugimura gets up there, all he has to do, I mean, I'm not suggesting he's going to do this immediately, but all he has to do is knock one of Mezek's balls out of play, and that's it. Done and dusted. No, he's not even going to need to do that now. He's left a line open to the jack. I think Sugimura will just roll this one up.
I think the Slovakian will know at this stage that the match is in the hands of his Japanese rival. Right up there alongside Sugimura, very happy with that one. So the Japanese delegation watching on from the sidelines. And Robert Mezek will play. It's a nice shot from the Slovakian. He's close to the jack here, giving himself an opportunity with his 3rd ball. Rolling up and over. The ref making the decision to measure this one.
It's another close one, isn't it? Blue's probably just a little bit closer.
I would say the blue is closer. Let's see how the caliper moves between these two. It's pretty tight there. It's closer than I was expecting. I think there's a little deceiving angle from the camera angle here. The referee opts to remeasure. And the blue is closer, so Sugimura to play.
I think they call it parallax error, don't they? When a camera is not quite directly pointing at something at a 90-degree angle. You get that parallax error where something that is further away just looks a little bit closer because of where the positioning of the camera is.
Uh-huh.
The shadows don't help either. The shadows really don't help when you're trying to do it by eye. But that's why the referees have those that equipment to measure everything up.
Exactly right. Oh, and Sugimura smashes the blue ball away. It's a quiet satisfaction from him. And Robert Mezek will want to take a look at this one. Nice shot from Sugimura. Oh, up and over here.
Yeah, sitting on top, but it's open. It's actually nestled quite nicely, but one big smash. And that blue ball may well get knocked on. Been given a bit of a reprieve here, Mezek, with a disqualification of a Chinese athlete, promoting him through to the quarterfinals. Looks like it's only going to be the briefest of returns to the individual tournament here in the Ariake Gymnastics Centre. There we go.
One final shot for Mezek in this, the fourth end of the BC2 individual quarter-final.
Yeah, referee calling that as 2 red at the moment. One last blue ball. Options limited. I think he's going to have to go for a similar shot to the last one, a roll on top. But he knows that then that's a threat. Maybe he can roll it up and over and just finish behind the jack.
From a mindset perspective, he's 7-1 down with a final shot, maintaining his concentration, but not quite accurate there.
Yeah, tried to ricochet, I think, onto the off one ball and onto the jack from behind, so that if the jack's then nudged, it's only going to get nudged into the blue. Now, didn't quite work out, and now Sugimura is on for a massive score again. This could be a biggest victory so far for him. So he's called it early.
So Sugimura takes the win here, electing not to throw the final 3 balls. The referee calling the final score. It's a win for Japan's Sugimura Hidetaka, 8 points to 1 over Slovakia's Robert Mezek. This, the knockout stage, the quarterfinals. The Japanese Sugimura will progress to the semi-finals here in home territory in Japan. What a delight for the Japanese viewers. Japan will be delighted. Sugimura progresses through to the semi-finals of the BC2 individual boccia.
really showed in the documents and stuff. Also, if you need to fly, we have this guy, Stu Sarah actually, who comes to your place, takes up your sample, you select the sample, and I submit it, and then within a couple of hours you have the result and certificate. Yeah, but that really is nice. It's Japanese guy speaks English perfectly, and it's also experience. So when I go to France, first time I will do it for him as well. It's the 170 border. It's not cheap, but it's you have your within 24 hours, you have in a couple of hours you have your certificate. So that's always good.
It's quarter-final time at the Ariake Gymnastics Centre. We're bringing coverage from court 4. 4 matches about to start play. This the individual BC3 quarter-final stage. Brazil's Evelyn de Oliveira faces Scott Mccowan of Great Britain. The winners of these quarter-final stages will progress through to the semi-finals with the opportunity to fight for the medals later in the tournament.
Well, the athletes will begin with their warm-up. BC3 athletes have the most severe impairments, unable to use their hands, so they use a ramp and a pointing device, as you can see here in the case of Scott Mccowan. He has the pointing device attached to his head. They're looking to very carefully and very gently hit the centre of the ball so as not to affect the spin of the ball as it comes down the ramp. The assistant is there to, well, assist the player. They're not allowed to look at the field of play during each end, as Chikako Okada is our referee for this match. She will look on at the assistants. They're not allowed to look at the field of play. They are there to angle and aim the ramp and set the ball within it.
So Scott Mccowan in his warm-up now. He's ranked 29th in the world. And this will be his 3rd Paralympic appearance.
Yeah, came through Pool E, 3 victories. Oh, as if on cue. And playing his brother in the first round as well, beating him 7-1. A bit of a family affair, the McCowans at the Tokyo 2020 Paralympic Games.
Yeah, a really talented family. The assistant here for Scott is his father, Gary. And Jamie also doing very well in this BC3 class. And now it's the turn of the Brazilian Evelyn de Oliveira to complete her warm-up.
Yeah, 2nd Paralympic Games for her. It was a pretty good one in Rio on home soil. Evelyn de Oliveira took the individual BC3 gold medal, so here to defend her title. So Chai Panic was the best of the matches for de Oliveira. 8-1, she beat the Thai athlete. Looking strong in her defence of the Olympic title. Uses a different kind of pointer. She's able to use her hand to release the ball. See these little creations dotted all around Japan in the weirdest and most wonderful places around Tokyo. We're a bit limited here for obvious reasons to how much we can get out and travel, but all around the hotels the staff have created these swans and ducks and birds and elephants and all sorts of amazing contraptions from paper. A little bit of origami.
Origami, yeah, beautiful origami creations here in Japan.
I can do an aeroplane.
Aeroplane is a very nice piece of origami. I think they call those storks, those birds that we were just shown on camera. And I hope they'll bring these athletes luck, let them perform their best in this quarter-final. And it's Scott with the red balls, so the player with the red balls will always take the first shot in boccia.
Yeah, concept of the game pretty simple. Each player has 6 balls. It's first ball thrown down by red in the first end. Then De Oliveira will throw her first ball down. From then on, it's furthest from the jack. Or the nearest from the jack stays in their seat while the other one plays. 6 balls thrown down the court until you're either closest or you've run out of balls. And at the conclusion of the end, the referee has to decide who's closest to the jack.
So here we go, the first end of this quarter-final. Scott McCowan for Great Britain to set the jack. The assistant's relationship here. Scott will give the instructions to Gary, his father, the assistant, and the assistants are not allowed to respond. It's a one-way communication. The assistants will take action, but they're not allowed to look at the field of play or communicate back to the athletes. Each athlete has 6 minutes on the clock, and that 6 minutes corresponds to the cumulative time for each shot. Lots of support there from the British delegation for Scott McCowan. He rolls that ball just in front of the jack, allowing a bit of space between the 2 balls.
Roberto Ferreira is assisting Evelyn De Oliveira.
So in this BC3 class of boccia, the assistants also receive medals when the athletes are medal winners. So 2 medals presented in each medal category here at the Paralympic Games. De Oliveira knocks the red ball onto the jack. Beautiful craftsmanship in this ramp used by De Oliveira. The wooden ramp with this polished metal stand. She uses the hand pointer to release the ball. And now creating some space, opening up the front of the jack so she has a clear line of sight.
She won't be worried about the ball going out of play. The job was to push off the red, and job satisfied now, and all she needs to do now is get the positioning of this next one perfect. A bit more of a placement shot, I expect.
So just bringing the height of the ramp down a bit. Oh, and she places that right in there, touching the jack, blocking the angle a little for Mccowan of Great Britain.
He's not going to be able to see much of that jack, I don't think, from that angle. So it looks like he's gone for one of the harder balls. This is a smash to release it. So we're going tit for tat here, basically. Same tactic from Scott Mccowan.
Mccowan talks about how he came into the sport, that he started out throwing the ball and it wasn't suiting him well, and then he discovered that it is also possible to use a ramp in boccia. He talks about the very first ramp he used on a camp when somebody got a bit of guttering from a DIY shop. They cut it in half. He got one half, someone else got the other half, and that's how they started rolling the balls. And once he discovered that, there's been no stopping him.
Fascinating insight. And why not? A piece of guttering would be perfect for this job.
Yeah, it's a fabulous development story that it's an accessible sport. You know, even at this level, there's some equipment needed to play the sport, but if you can get started with some guttering from your local DIY shop, then maybe it's time to make that journey out and buy it. And it's been a different preparation for these athletes coming into this Games with the lockdown conditions. It's not been as easy to access large facilities, so athletes making their preparation in their hallways, on their decking outside their home, in their gardens, on whatever kind of flat surface is available, while still complying with COVID regulations all around the world. And this surface here at the Ariake Gymnastics Centre has been very well prepared for this event. In between each round, the surface is cleaned with very fine mops and a spray solution to get rid of any kind of film or build-up on the surface. It's right on alongside the jack for the Brazilian. So the line of sight to the jack now is pretty limited with that red ball blocking the angle.
Yeah, it's going to be interesting to see what tactic she decides to go for here. Is she going to try and, from that height, you're looking at perhaps a placement shot here, but hard to say.
It's placed, but it's not close enough right now.
But is she going to use that ball as the object ball for a ricochet now? Come off the inside of it to go towards the jack. Similar power, by the looks of things, to this shot.
Yes. It's the final 2 balls to play for Scott Mccowan. Oh, it's a great shot here, just that little nudge from the pointer. And he smashes the blue ball out. He's created a very nice opportunity now for this final ball. We see the ref there just sanitising the hands before she picks that up. Strict COVID protocol here at the Ariake Gymnastics Centre.
Yeah, Oliveira's tactics with her last 2 balls were to try and limit the damage, and limit the opportunity Scott McCowan had, but she left space for him to get in there.
And Scott McCowan for Great Britain rolls that right in next to the jack. It's a good start for the British athlete with a lead of 2 points from this first end. So there's the confirmation. 2-0 to Great Britain. Scott McCowan over Evelyn de Oliveira from Brazil. 1 minute break now before the second end begins. time for end 2. De Oliveira for Brazil will set the jack. Lining the ramp up to her right-hand side, taking the jack over to that side of the court. Gives her an advantage. It makes the angle for her opponent more difficult.
Yeah, they do tend to play on their side of the court, but I have seen, in fact, one of the Australians earlier in the tournament playing across to his opponent's side. So sometimes they will play across the court, but it's very unorthodox.
So this is more of a classic position here from the Brazilian. The jack just beyond the V line. And there it is, placed alongside. It's not blocking the angle from Mccowan's perspective. He still has a line of sight on the jack. It's a nice angle there just to get a bit of an idea what the athlete himself is seeing as he lines up the ramp.
Yeah, interesting also to see his game plan. He's got some measures on that piece of card in front of him.
First shot from the British athlete. British team are very happy with that one. A lot of support for him.
Yeah, popular sport in both countries are represented here, Great Britain and Brazil. Now, with Scott Mccowan playing that placement right up to the jack, reigning Olympic champion perhaps has a couple of options here to roll up and over and end up behind the jack, maybe even place deeper in the court. I wonder, though, if she is going to try and disrupt and smash the jack free. Well, it ended up rolling up and over, but I think maybe she was trying to actually free the jack there. The power that went into it suggests that.
De Oliveira made her start in the sport back in 2010. She was out shopping with her mum at a shopping mall and got scouted by a coach from local club, industry social service, and she was approached by this coach asking if she knew about boccia and other para sports that the club had on offer, and that was the turning point for her. It made her make the decision to come and try out boccia. And what a fabulous story it was after that, 6 years later being selected by Brazil to take part in the Olympics in her home country and winning that gold medal in the pairs event. And there it is, she moves the jack away. And we'll see how Scott Mccowan responds. Mccowan has a condition called Duchenne muscular dystrophy, and he talks about the benefit to his condition from playing boccia. When he first started out, it was all about enjoyment for him. But he says now it's more about his condition, and playing the sport keeps him active, it keeps him fit, which is absolutely crucial for his quality of life.
Yeah, a lot of the athletes here at the Tokyo 2020 Paralympic Games playing boccia talk about what the sport has given them in their life. It's a lot of them actually talk about how they're fanatics of the sport because it's given them a new reason. A push off there. I think the blue possibly is still closer than the red, but the jack is free, and that's puts Scott Mccowan in the driving seat here. Close call.
Mm. And it's a boccia-inspired hairstyle from the referee, with the red on the left and the blue on the right of that beautiful plait she's wearing. As she measures this with the calipers, very careful measurements. And the red is closer. It's to Oliveira to play.
I'm surprised by that. It just looked ever so slightly that the blue was closer. That's why they have all that equipment. So placement shot there, up to the jack. Now, that's the British team contingent here, still in the competition, hence why they're here. I don't know whether you've heard this, maybe in the commentary of other sports, but as soon as the athletes have finished competing here in Tokyo, they're ushered to the airport. So they get to leave very quickly. So all the athletes here and the team support staff for Great Britain are still either yet to play or still in the competition. same for us as well.
Yeah, it absolutely is. It's a very strict protocol here in Tokyo that enables the games to take place. And it's an interesting atmosphere here. No spectators, but the people here observing and supporting are really very knowledgeable and passionate about the sport, and it makes for a wonderful, concentrated, intimate atmosphere around the playing arena here. And here it is. Mccowan smashes that through.
Well, you have to say at this stage, things are looking brighter for De Oliveira. It looks like we're going to get another big shot here.
The height of the ramp corresponding to the acceleration, the power on the ball.
Push on. That's nice. Not entirely sure the last shot was exactly what he wanted, but he executed that one very well. Pushing on and forcing a measure now from Okada.
And she's using the torch to shine the light between the balls, establishing the gap. And the flat paddle there means it was equidistant.
Absolutely, and so the person in play will remain in play.
Mccowan's assistant, his father, Gary, making the adjustments to the ramp in line with Scott Mccowan's instructions. He's not allowed to respond or communicate himself. He listens to the instructions and makes the adjustments without being permitted to look at the field of play.
Yeah, and the strategic decisions, what ball to play, what angle the ramp should be at, and where it should be aimed, are all down to the player. And this has turned into a really interesting encounter here, because De Oliveira is the reigning Olympic champion, and Scott McCowan has got a lead here, and looks like he may well be able to capitalise in this second end to go halfway through the match and still be in with a chance of going through to the semi-finals. And you know what that means. 2 shots and a medal at the Paralympic Games.
It's a fantastic opportunity for the British athlete, ranked 29th in the world, against Evelyn de Oliveira, ranked 10th in the world.
Nervy moments for both. Perhaps the pressure on De Oliveira a little more than it is on McGowan. She's going big.
It's going to be a powerful shot.
The question is, what is she going to hit here? Is she going to try and hit her own ball? I'm about to find out.
Just in time there from Scott Mccowan. That's the 6th and final ball from the British athlete. 1 ball left to play from De Oliveira.
She's not got much time either.
She smashes through, but still 1 red and 1 blue touching the jack. Equidistant balls means 1 point to each athlete for this end. And the athletes will come to inspect that. Confirmation there, 1-1 in this second end of the quarterfinal in the BC3 individual boccia. 1 minute now to prepare for the third end. There's confirmation. Halfway point in the match, and it's 3-1 to Great Britain's Scott Mccowan over Evelyn de Oliveira from Brazil. There's 1 minute to prepare for this next end, for the assistants to collect the balls, reset the ramps. It's end 3, 6 minutes back on the clock for each athlete. And it's the turn of Scott Mccowan of Great Britain again to set the jack. Right up alongside the side of the court there.
It's set that mid-court and very close to the line. Interesting angle for De Oliveira, but it will be Scott Mccowan with first ball.
These shots, we see the official just behind the athletes. He's watching the actions of the assistant, making sure that there's no communication coming from the assistant to the athlete. And also making sure that the athlete is within the lines of the playing box. So Scott Mccowan places that right up alongside the jack.
So the Brazilian will take her turn now. Took individual gold in the pairs at her home games 5 years ago. She's looking to add to her Paralympic trophy cabinet with an individual medal here in Tokyo. But she is trailing the British athlete who's he's just played great in the first two. It was a very tactical second end and bagged the points when there was the opportunity to in the first. So Evelyn de Oliveira is really up against it here.
And the British athlete coming into this really as the underdog versus a reigning Paralympic champion in the pairs event gives a certain sort of psychological position coming into a match from that perspective, that by the form book you're probably not expected to win the match, and can give a little bit of freedom in terms of your approach to becoming as the athlete ranked lower with less pressure on you. He's responded very well to the situation here in the games, and with this 3-1 advantage, de Oliveira for Brazil has to take the opportunity here in the third end.
Yeah, and critically, he's got a little bit of an advantage in this end as well, the British athlete, because he's used the softest of the balls, the most difficult to move, to push on, and that's what Oliveira's doing here. She hit it pretty plumb, and it barely moved a jot. She's just trying to open up, but she's having to use more balls than if that ball was a harder ball, because it would just be easier to move on. So still mini advantage in this end, I'd say, to the British athlete. It's touching the line, it's been moved out of play. That's neither here nor there, really. That de Oliveira is just trying to get the jack free, which it's taken her 2 shots to do it. It is free now, though. Now, wondering if we're going to get a similar tactic here from de Oliveira. Use a soft ball for placement.
And she does, but it's not closer to the jack than the red ball.
Didn't get the angle right, did she?
So the 4th ball for de Oliveira.
Looks slightly better. So she's freed the jack up. She can get between the red and the jack. But delicate now as well, because the jack's so close to the edge, as we mentioned right at the beginning, that if that gets pushed out, effectively the slate's wiped clean here. The ball gets moved back into, repositioned to the spot in the middle, in the penalty area. And that will not benefit the Brazilian at all, because Scott McCowan's got more balls left.
This is quite possibly the most crucial shot in the tournament for de Oliveira.
She had to protect the jack. She absolutely had to protect the jack. Now, the question is, has she done enough? We'll see what tactics Scott McCowan is going to play here. I think he can actually see that jack. It's tight. Doesn't look like he's going to be playing to knock the jack out himself. Certainly not with this first ball. Right. He's freed it. Now we'll see what's in store. He's probably closest ball. Let's have a look. Or has he?
Super shot.
No, so he is closest ball, so actually he's opened the jack up for Evelyn de Oliveira, and she's going to play the same shot again. He's got to limit the damage that Scott McCowan can do here. This is a very, very interesting game. The tactics being played by both of these athletes is phenomenal. That 2-point advantage in the first end could prove critical. Delicate shot.
Oh. It's no closer.
It's all about the angle to the ramp here and how much of that white ball Scott McCowan can see. We can see, well, at this stage and at this level of the elite sport, anything more than about 25% of the ball visible to the player is seen as a bit of a disappointment from his opponent. So can't quite get exactly his angle, but I think he can see enough of the jack here. And he is going bigger. I think this still looks like it's going to be a placement shot.
Yes, he places it right alongside the jack. Still a gap there for a potential second ball to roll in. 3 balls left to play for Great Britain's Scott McCowan.
He's put himself in a fantastic position. So there's a clear line. He can even run ever so slightly closer to the blue, but he asked for a running score, and the referee, you may have just seen, putting up 2 for red at the moment. Another placement.
Another ball in there. To my eye, I can't tell if that's closer than the closest blue. He's asked for a measure, I think. Yes, the ref's in there with the calipers. And it's 3 balls now for Great Britain, Scott McCowan. 3 balls closer than the nearest blue ball.
Is he going to consider calling it a day in this end at this stage?
But he's coming back to the playing box.
Yep, it looks like he is going to play again. An indication of that, his father, the assistant, just moving the ramp from side to side. When a player comes out of the playing area to look at what's going on in, I'm going to call it the house, it's a curling term, but where all the balls are in play, the head as it's called in boccia, it does give them an opportunity to check the line going back to the ramp.
Ah, yes.
So they come back, when they come back to the playing box, the assistant has to move the ramp left and right a couple of times so they can they know that everybody knows, the other athlete, the opponent, and the referees know that McCowan is aiming from the playing box.
So Scott McCowan from Great Britain will not play the remaining balls in this end, electing to take the 3-ball advantage over his Brazilian rival, de Oliveira. De Oliveira comes to inspect the final standings here in the end. Confirmation there, the close of that end, and it's 3 points for red, 3 points for Great Britain, Scott McCowan. Overall confirmation after 3 ends of this quarter-final of the BC3 individual boccia. Great Britain's Scott McCowan has an advantage of 6-1 over Brazil's Evelyn de Oliveira. So it's end 4, and there the Paralympic mascot has now moved again onto this number 4 on the side of court number 4. And it's end 4, blue balls to play for Brazilian Evelyn de Oliveira. She sets the jack long in the court into that back half.
Yeah, same as the second end, deeper into the court. In fact, I think it's a bit longer this time. She will play first ball here, but you have to say she's under a huge amount of pressure here. She had to effectively concede 1-1 in the second end when she last set the jack. And she's got an awful lot to do here. It's mathematically possible, but very unlikely because of the way Scott McCowan has played here, capitalising in the early ends, getting the first 2 points in the first, and then effectively negating the advantage for Oliveira in the second, capitalising again in the third.
First ball played by de Oliveira, longer than the jack. And Scott McCowan's coming to have a look at that. Good shot in there of the timer at the desk in the far corner of the court. The court 12.5 metres by 6 metres.
A number of options here. Could run a placement behind the jack, in between the jack and the blue ball already set, first ball. Could run a placement up to the front of the jack, try and block the line. Could even play a guard. I mean, they don't call them guards in boccia. So he's clocked the distance of the jack, and he's rolling a placement shot up in front. Now, it's all about the angles here. He's played that up deliberately short, I think, to block a path for his opponent, and now this next shot will be the one that gets him closest to the jack. And knocking it on.
A lot of power there, knocking that ball very close distance to the jack.
Nice push shot here, push on. You've got to get the angles absolutely perfect so that when your target ball, the ball that you're setting and throwing, hits the object ball, it doesn't then roll over and knock the jack out of the way. So it's managed to get that almost absolutely perfect. Didn't touch the jack at all and pushed his ball right onto the jack now. It's looking very good for Scott Mccowan here. Very good indeed.
De Oliveira with 5 balls left to play. Currently being led 6-1 by the British athlete. Roberto Ferreira places the ball.
So we're back to the tactic of play a hard shot, a heavy shot to disrupt and open up the jack, and now to play a placement. She just doesn't have the luxury of having to effectively sacrifice one ball. She needs the balls to get points.
Less power here. The ball placed is right alongside the jack.
Well, she's got closest, but she's left the jack wide open. Multiple options here for Scott Mccowan. He could go long and then knock the jack on. Doesn't look like he is though. He's going to go, oh, tell a lie, he's gone for the full ramp here. So is he going to run long past the jack, the trio of balls, and rock up to hit the ball that he's got behind. But from the angle, it looks like he's going for the jack.
Yes, he places that just in front, nudging it away from the blue ball. It's a soft ball here placed right in front of the jack. The soft ball is more difficult to move than the harder ball. So there's some coverage here for Great Britain's Scott Mccowan. As we move to the turn of the Brazilian, de Oliveira to take her third shot. And she knocks one red ball away.
Time's not on her side. Look, you've got to feel for her in some ways, but she's got to maintain her focus here. She could score multiple points here. It's going to be extremely difficult, I think, for her to win this match, but she's got to stay in there. She's got to stay focused. But I think really what she needs to do is she needs to effectively move the head, move the playing area, move the jack forward or deeper into the court to get closer to her balls.
It's a big ask with just 30 seconds left on the clock. Just falling short here. And that was the last opportunity for de Oliveira as the clock runs out. 5 balls played by the Brazilian. Hug and a kiss from Roberto Ferreira.
Yeah, comforting. This has got away from her, but got to take your hat off to Scott McGowan and Dad Gary, who's assisting. Took the opportunity early in the first end, going 2-0 up, negated the advantage in the second, going 1-1, and then scored again in the third. And it looks like he's not going to just negate, he's going to steal points in this fourth end. That puts him in a fantastic position in this match. And preparing here to go out or go on in the tournament with a big score in the quarterfinals.
Scott McCowan will play this 5th ball. And a reasonably hard ball at the top of the ramp. Smashing the blue ball away, creating himself an opportunity here alongside the jack. This has got to feel really good right now for Scott Mccowan. He knows the score on the board already and can continue to play, making the most of this arena and this fantastic opportunity against the Brazilian opponent.
Well, close, isn't it? It's definitely one red. I think the referee indicated there that she wasn't going to call whether the second closest red and the closest blue were together. Change of angle, he's going to ricochet and take that out. Beautiful play from Scott McCowan.
It's the end of the game. 3 points to Great Britain, Scott McCowan. What a fantastic performance for him here at the Tokyo 2020 Paralympic Games. Great camaraderie between the assistants and the athletes. Very sportsmanlike behaviour here in this quarterfinal. Smile on the face of Scott McCowan after that performance. So there we have it, the individual BC3 quarterfinal, number 4. Great Britain, Scott McCowan takes it 9 points to 1 ahead of Evelyn de Oliveira from Brazil. The medal hope is alive for Great Britain's Scott McCowan as he progresses to the Boccia BC3 Paralympic semi-final.
Come on. Thank you. Hi, so pinning it half. So run it back to one, target in. Right. Yeah. Yeah, eyes up. Eyes up.
It's the Boccia at the Ariake Gymnastics Centre, quarterfinals morning here. This is court 4, and we're bringing you the BC4 individual quarterfinal. Zheng Yuan-sen of China and Elicia dos Santos from Brazil. It's the knockout stage, so the winner from this quarterfinal will progress through to the semi-finals with the opportunity of fighting for a Paralympic medal in the later stages.
Well, here we have two athletes who have won all 3 of their pool matches, coming through top in the quarterfinal. Zheng Yuan-sen of China, the 32-year-old, up against Elicia dos Santos of Brazil. Dos Santos faced his brother in the first round, and they, as a pair, took the silver medal in the Rio de Janeiro Olympic Games on home soil. Here, Zheng Yuan from China was a silver medalist at the London Games in 2012. It's his 3rd Paralympic Games, and he's the 2018 World Champion. He had a 3-0 run in the pools. His biggest win was a 10-2 victory over Oliveira of Portugal.
It's Marie Hebert, the referee for this match.
Yeah, she'll be overseeing this BC4 category, where players of a non-cerebral origin that result in an impact on strength and or coordination can take part. The newest of the Boccia categories, opening the sport up even further to the world, as we've had the privilege of doing here at the Tokyo Games. The first time Boccia is being shown to the world, and it's our honour to get to call what is an incredibly addictive sport. I've found it completely immersing.
Yeah, we're falling in love with Boccia here at Tokyo 2020, and I hope you're enjoying the coverage around the world.
Learning as we do about this fabulous sport. The strategy is just the incredible thing about it, that things can change so quickly from end to end.
Yeah, it's a very tactical game, and sometimes the athletes will have to respond very quickly to some supreme shots from their opponents and change those strategies as they move through a match. So 4 ends in each match. It's always the player with the red balls who plays first. So here in this match, it's China's Zheng Yuan-sen who plays with the red balls. And that's determined by a coin toss in the call room. The referee will make the toss, and the player gets to choose. The player winning the coin toss gets to choose whether to opt for red or blue balls. The athletes are warmed up and prepared now. The referee just waiting for the clock to tick over and for the match to begin. So here goes Dos Santos and Zheng in the BC4 quarterfinal of the Boccia. 4 minutes for each athlete as end 1 begins. Zheng of China to set the jack. So a softball to play first from the Chinese athlete. Placing that in front of the jack, slightly to the right as he looks at it. Blocking Dos Santos' line of sight to the jack.
It was a very good block on that. He's really covered a lot of the jack there.
Second ball to play for Dos Santos. And now with this slightly better line of sight to the jack. Making a clearing for himself on the front side of the white ball.
Yeah, just repositioning himself in the player's box now that the jack is free. If he plays this well, he can knock the jack forward and, using his snooker skills, if you like, roll his throwing ball on and push the jack towards the blue ball that he's got in the head already. Well, he's just played up to it, but he's got a bit of a safety with that blue ball behind or beyond the jack.
It's a light smash there from the Chinese athlete. With the jack moving away, there's some space around it now. An opportunity to place the ball closer.
Yeah, so again, he's freed the jack. Both of them playing this idea of freeing the jack before going for a placement.
Zheng started playing boccia back in 2008. Another athlete who was scouted for the sport by coaching staff. It was while he was studying at Guangdong University, studied computer science, making his international debut in 2009 at the Asian Championships representing China.
Well, Dos Santos coming to have a look at this. It is closer, the placement shot from Zheng. So now he's just deciding which ball to play and what shot to play. Playing the push on there. Not much between these two in this first end, very close. Another placement. No. He's trying to smash that through.
It's taking some time to consider the next move. And the referee brings the ball that's out of play into position. Kept there until the end of the match. So Zheng making his mind up for this fifth ball.
Ooh. Nice idea, didn't quite execute.
So that's the last ball for Zheng in this end. 2 balls to play for Dos Santos.
I wonder how much of a risk the Brazilian wants to take here. Fortune favours the brave, as they say. And seen how important scoring points early can be. That's probably the safest of the options for him, just playing off or up to that red ball to the right as we look at it with the jack.
And his last throw here for this end.
Want to get 2 whilst they're available. That's a better shot.
Yes, success for the Brazilian. Raising his points total here, confirming the close of that end. And it's 2-0 for Brazil's Alicia Dos Santos. So the standings so far in this quarter-final, 2-0 to Brazil's Dos Santos. And number 2 begins. Dos Santos for Brazil will set the jack. He talks about his most memorable moment in the sport, winning his first medal, which was a bronze at the Brazilian Championships way back in 2005. And he talks about that. He says, when I came back home, my mother looked at me in a way filled with pride, her eyes filled with tears. Since it was my first, I kept taking it out of the drawer to look at it every 5 minutes. And he still remembers that moment back in 2005. His ambition was to come here and play at the Paralympic Games in Tokyo, following his performances in the previous 3 Paralympic Games.
Yeah, individual bronze in Beijing, pairs silver in Rio and London, and pairs gold in London and Beijing. And he won that silver at home in Rio de Janeiro in the Olympic Games in 2016 with his brother. And after this Paralympic Games, the next major tournament, guess where that's going to be?
You're not going to say Brazil?
It's in Brazil, in the same venue as it was held at the Olympic Games in Rio
perfect.
2016 in December of 2022.
Zheng to play his second ball. Using some power to create a bit of space around the jack. Just tucking his feet under the wheelchair there to make sure they don't stray out of the box. The players have to stay within the lines of the playing box when they throw. Third ball and a good shot from Zheng of China.
Excellent, yeah. He's blocked the line of the jack here, so I think we're going to see same as we've seen earlier on in the match. A power shot, followed by the placement to get closest to the jack. There is a possibility that Eliseu dos Santos can play a push shot, push on the ball he's already got in play.
There it is, using the power to create some space.
Yeah, quite right. It's just opened the jack. He actually ended up pushing off, rolling over the red ball, but it's released the jack in between the two coloured balls, and now he has a clear sight of it. Didn't quite angle that correctly. And you might be wondering, well, why doesn't he just smash the red ball out of the way? Well, that's a softer ball, very difficult to move. And it's taken him 3, but he is now closest.
Zheng lobs it over the top, but just moving on past the balls in play. So will he make a second attempt at that shot? 5th ball to play. Final ball from Zheng for this end. And he's pushed that previous red ball on, but it's still not closer than the blue. And dos Santos comes to check out those distances before making his play.
Well, Zheng may well have been looking to play a roll on top there. Didn't quite have enough power to get up there. Brazilian's only got a minute left of play. Might well see him play the same shot. It's 2 balls, closest to the jack at the moment, so we'll get the single point. But as we've seen, getting that lead early doors can be a massive advantage. Takes pressure off in the next end. Just checking with the referee that still just 1 point for him.
Looks to be quite a soft ball, this last ball by dos Santos.
Yeah, you're right. Tried to roll up and over. I think that's just going to be the single point though.
So end 1 complete, and it's 1 point to dos Santos of Brazil. So 2-0 in the first end, 1-0 in the second end. Total of 3-0 to Alicia dos Santos ahead of Zheng Yuan-sen of China. It's the third end in this quarter-final of the individual BC4 Boccia. Zheng from China sets the jack. Another 4 minutes on the clock for both athletes. And he sets it long this time.
Yeah,
Halfway down the court and very close to that edge line.
Trying something a bit different. And why not? 3-0 down. First ball. It's left that open a little bit. It's probably on the harder side.
There's an opportunity for dos Santos here. Coming into this third end with a 3-0 advantage. Both of these athletes having won every match at group stage. Dominic Tremblay from the Boccia Federation talking to us yesterday about the athletes' need to control their disability in this sport to make the precise shots. We see that here from dos Santos. Very nice job of moving the jack away from the red ball.
Yeah, arguably the toughest shot in Boccia. The cut, getting the angle absolutely perfect. He's kept the jack in play. He's not worried that his ball's gone out of play. He's now just got more space to reach the jack. So I wonder if we're going to see a placement shot here. And this jack, as you've quite rightly pointed out, is so close to the edge. That is going to be a factor in this end. So it got the legs. It's touching the line.
And it's touching the line. So any contact with the line and the ball's taken out of play. Referee just wants to examine that.
Well, we know when the hand sanitizer comes out, the referee is going to move the ball.
So picking that one up and taking it out of play. There'll be another chance for dos Santos.
So he's had a sighter. So I had one go at it. And the thing is, if he gets this in the right spot, the pressure immediately switches back. And if the jack, right now, if the jack goes out of play, it's actually not a bad thing for the Chinese athlete because it will be replaced in the middle of the penalty area, of the box in the centre, a repositioned jack it's called. And Zhang's got more balls left, so he's got a chance to score more points. But if the Brazilian nails this and keeps the jack in play and his ball in play, he's got a massive advantage in this match. Gone softer.
Oh, and again, very difficult placement of the jack there, so close to the boundary of the court. This blue ball again touching that line, so it's out of play.
It's worth noting that these games have only taken place because every single sport has put in special COVID protocols, and it's great to see that they have been absolutely followed to the letter, even though the referee had just picked up the previous ball, having had to sanitise her hands first time round. She sanitised them again before picking up the next one, and that's not just for her protection but also for the protection of the athletes.
And this ball's gone short, so Dos Santos coming to have a look. There's an opportunity to push that onto the jack, potentially, but
it's a tough one, isn't it?
It's resting onto the red as well.
Does he go? Has he got a lob in his armoury? It's a hugely risky shot, but I think he's got to be thinking about a quite defensive strategy, minimising the damage. There you go, he's played a short one to make the line more difficult for his opponent and to reduce the number of points that that Zheng can get, because with one more he can make it even more tricky. Lay up another guard effectively. He plays it into the middle, safety. He's thinking now that Jack's going to get played out here, and that then makes the ball he's just thrown the closest to the jack. Clever, really clever. A block with the guard first, and then another safety. Good use of his last two balls.
So Zheng has 5 balls to respond to this situation. 2 minutes 36 on the clock. He's gone over the top. It looks like that red ball might still be in play.
Oh, it's close, isn't it?
Referee's down to inspect, and the torch has come out.
This is very close.
Very interesting technique here. So this piece of paper, just sliding it over the white line there to establish whether or not the paper touches the ball.
So calling for the lead referee now to confirm this. We've seen this a couple of times before. Lead referee will come out. It's so close that the referee on court can call for the lead referee to come out and just double check. I think that piece of paper couldn't slide all the way up to the line. I think the ball's out of play here. We'll see.
It looked like that, like it might be sort of half millimetre or millimetre short of covering the line. So the lead ref to inspect now with the paper. Although this camera angle's deceiving.
It's not the best one, but I mean,
it's hard to imagine how that looks from a direct vantage point above the paper.
Exactly, exactly.
To my eye, I think it could possibly be covering the line, but the referee is in exactly the right place to determine whether that's the case or not.
I would probably go with your gut. My eyes aren't very good. I have to wear specs most of the time, so...
Oh, and using the light as well.
So...
And what's the verdict?
1 yen bet? I think it's out.
I think it's in. Oh,
And the ball is out, and I'm 1 yen richer as a result. Now, coming back to the game here, this is interesting now. That what does Zheng try to do here? Now that we've had that hugely intense decision being made, does he now just jack out, get the jack into the middle and use the remainder of his balls to dislodge the blue that's on the cross, or does he try again?
it's an option. And I mean, he's had that time to think about his strategy.
It's a lob. It's short. Unless there's no line for him to knock that on, I don't think. So he can't push. He can't play a push shot on that ball he's just put in. He can play a push shot on the red closest to the jack. That may well be the best option, actually, because if he overdoes it and he jacks out, then he's got a couple of balls left to score 2 points. It's a good game, this, isn't it? It's a really intriguing sport, boccia. I think it's going to be one of the super sports of these Paralympic Games. So still just the one red, and I think now options limited to trying to just score where the jack is right now.
Yes, and he pushes on the red ball. And again. Inviting the athletes forward for a measurement. So there's the distance, blue to white. And to make the comparison on this side, blue's closer. So the end is finished, and it's 2 points to Zheng Yuansen of China. Now things are hotting up in this quarterfinal. Zheng Yuansen bringing it almost level with Alicia of Brazil. So 3-2 to the Brazilian after 3 ends, 1 end left to play. And it's end 4 in this quarterfinal. Dos Santos sets the jack just beyond the V line. Dos Santos ranked 8th in the world against Zheng from China, ranked 4th in the world. And with a 3-2 score so far from 3 ends, there's all to play for the Brazilian in this final end. And the Chinese athlete smashes it wide open. And Zheng comes back for the second ball.
I think he wanted to roll up to that one. He's rolled past it. So we've seen various tactics employed in this situation. The one that the athletes seem to have been favouring here in the Ariake Gymnastics Centre is to throw up a ball that's a little bit further away than the current nearest ball, and then to play a push on. So it's all about whether this is a, it looks like it's not a hard ball. I think maybe that's a medium he's using. Or is he just going to go for a straight placement in front?
And he does. A little closer, but the referee has the calipers out to confirm. Oh, it's very close. It was just closer. So Zheng to play.
The potential advantage here, the way things are, this ball could be critical for Zheng's continuance in the competition here at the 2020 Paralympic Games in Tokyo. He can get this tucked up between the blue ball and the jack. He's actually played for the other side, so rather than going for in between, I think he may well be looking to knock the jack on at some point. Another measure again.
A very steady hand from the referee. Reasonably clear there that the red ball is closer. So, third ball for Dos Santos. And he takes a look at the state of play.
So tight, isn't it? I'd still say it's a mini advantage to Zheng in this round. Does Dos Santos now pin one between the two reds and the jack and just roll up to them? Could even put a little bit of power into this and push one off. He's pushing his first ball onto the jack.
There it is.
And look at the angle to the Chinese athlete. If he hits the blue ball now, look, yes, it may well end up first time round being closer to the reds, but now Dos Santos has got a blue a little bit further back, and then Dos Santos just pushes the jack on. Ooh.
So moving the jack right through now.
There was no mucking around there. He made a very clear strategy. I'm going to get that jack out of that messy area. Tape measures out.
I don't think it's closer than the blue, but
I'll give you a chance to win your yen back.
I'm saying no. I'm saying the blue's closer. What do you say?
I actually agree with you. I think the blue's closer. I think we might both be wrong. Shows you how big parallax error can be. It's a very delicate operation, this measuring, because you've got to make sure that she's absolutely dead on the centre of the jack, going dead to the centre of the coloured ball.
And not moving the balls with the pressure from the tape measure. So
this continues to be a very tactical game.
So this is the last end in this individual quarter-final for the BC4 category. Dos Santos here with the advantage, 3 balls left to play. The athlete who wins this will progress to the semi-final, and the loser will be knocked out. It's a good shot from Dos Santos.
Clever. Knocking out the red. Took his own ball with it, but he's now gone 2 up. It's a head scratcher now for Zheng. Can he see enough of the jack to displace it, or is he just going to go for a placement shot? No, it goes for the placement. Lovely.
It's close.
Remember, he only needs 1.
Very nice.
Brazilian's time running low. That was an exceptional placement shot, wasn't it? It's going to be under time pressure though, Dos Santos.
33 seconds and 2 balls left to play.
Going to have to go for power here, open up the jack and then placement. Oh, he
There
has.
it is. He's pushed the blue ball on, but it's not close enough to the jack.
But he's left a bit of the jack open here, so he's got to play a really good placement shot here, but he's only got just over 10 seconds. Not much time to line this one up.
Experience of the athlete really showing here, staying calm under pressure. He's right in there, but it's not close enough.
And now Zheng has an opportunity to win the match. He's got plenty of time. Getting those 2 points in end number 3 could prove critical here. That extra point he scored has now given him the opportunity to get 2 here and overtake Dos Santos. This for a place in the semi-finals. I'm not sure that's close enough. I don't think it is, no.
No. So 1 point to Zheng from this 4th end.
So they'll go to retrieve the balls. There'll be a minute and an extra end here to decide who is going through to the semi-finals. Now in the group stages, these...
There's the confirmation. 3 all after 4 ends played.
So the regulation ends are over. Now, in the group stages, what happened was they played an extra end, but the score here would remain 3-3. It's just someone would get an asterisk. 'Cause otherwise, if you play an extra end, you've got more chance of scoring more points than other people in your group. Here, it's very simple. You've got to win the next end to go through. If it's tied again, they'll play another end. We could be here until the next, next Christmas. It could go on forever. It doesn't tend to, though. They tend to settle it pretty quickly in the tiebreakers.
So going for the tiebreak end, the referee's done a coin toss to determine the order the athletes will play in. Dos Santos coming into position, into the box to play. There's an element of endurance, of concentration coming into play here. And the jack's placed in the penalty box in the centre of the court.
Yeah, it's the fairest of placements, as you say. The coin toss was to decide who threw first in the tiebreaker, and that is an advantage on its own. If you were then to get able to throw the jack to the position you want it in, it would be too much of an advantage to not only go first, but actually place the jack. So the jack fairly placed in the centre on the cross. Sheng, a 2018 world champion, had to fight back hard in this one, and happy with his first placement shot.
The atmosphere in the Ariake Gymnastics Centre now absolutely electric. There were 4 quarterfinals taking place during this session. The other 3 quarterfinals have now been completed. And with this quarterfinal in its 5th end, all of the delegations are here watching this quarterfinal, supporting these athletes. Dos Santos' second ball.
Just clipped his own ball there. I think he was trying to hit the red to push the jack free. He's going to have another go at that. There you go. Oh, do you know what? He almost hit that too well. Hit it so plumb that it just nudged the jack forward beyond the red, but only by a tiny bit. Now, does he try and lob? There you go. He wanted to hit the ground just a little bit before the red to roll it on. So does he go for the same thing again, or is he going to come around the other side? Right, it's free now, but he's had to use so many balls to do that. You have to say advantage is with Sheng at the moment.
Sheng coming back from 3-2 down after the third end, levelling it with his 1-0 score from the fourth end. And now this fifth end tie-break format. And he pushes it on, so the blue ball right in front of the jack. Real support from the delegations here, not just the Brazilian team. Zhang rising to the challenge here. He's happy with that.
Yeah, first ball used very well. And now, in effect, he has the advantage that he's more likely to have the last ball. If he can just push this other red on.
Which he does.
Fantastic. That's two, actually, I think, for Zheng. And using two balls, he's turned it from 1 blue to 2 red. And now it's going to take a lot from Dos Santos. Has he left? It doesn't look like he's even left room for a placement shot here. It could be a lob.
Absolutely critical for Dos Santos here.
Yeah, huge. Absolutely huge. Oh, very good. A roll up and over, and it is red to play.
And it's back with Zheng, 3 balls to play. 2 minutes 30 on the clock. The referee is asking if Zheng would like a measurement taken. Okay, so Zheng forfeiting those 3 balls.
He's just waiting for the measure because he doesn't need to play here. If he's closer, he's taken it. So instead of 3 balls in question, there's the 2 red ones and then this blue one. Now, for me, there's one definitely clear red closest. So
this measure would establish whether it's a 2-0 or a 1-0 win if Zheng declares that he doesn't want to throw the 3 remaining balls. And the referee is measuring and re-measuring. Confirming 2 to Zheng. And it's the end of the match. Zheng doesn't need to throw these 3 remaining balls, taking the win in that end by 2-0. Consolation for Dos Santos. He won't be progressing to the semi-final, but this man, Zheng from China, will be taking up his place in the semi-final. Here's the result. 3-3, but the win in the tiebreak for Zheng Yuansen of China. He wins quarterfinal number 4 in the BC4 individual event here at the Ariake Gymnastics Centre. Zheng Yuansen of China is the match winner in quarterfinal 4 in the individual BC4 Boccia event. He will progress to the semi-finals.
Well, here in this session in the Ariake Gymnastics Centre, we've seen 3 players go through to the semi-finals in the Boccia. Japan's Sugimura beat Robert Mezek of Slovakia. It was Scott McCowan of Great Britain going through 9-1 against Evelyn de Oliveira, and we saw Zheng Yuansen of China come back to take a tie-break end, beating Eliseu dos Santos of Brazil.
It's been an exhilarating, exciting and enjoyable quarter-final session here at the Boccia in the 2020 Tokyo Paralympic Games.